Hey there, and welcome to the Fiihr Factor, the podcast that shines a light on real stories, smart strategies, and the occasional hard truth about running a business. Think of this as your quick dose of clarity before your first cup of coffee. Let's go. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Brian Hybner. He's a friend, he's a client, and he's got a company. It's called Wallaby. Wallaby Windows. That's a really bad accent. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing well on yourself, Warren.
I'm good. Thanks for
It's
taking the time.
it's
This is going to be fun.
it's Wallaby
So,
windows, kind of like a kangaroo, a little bit smaller. Comes from Australia. So that
oh yeah,
name heritage comes from Melbourne, Florida, which is where we're based out of. And we also have sister companies, Koala Insulation and Bumble Roofing. So we have some of that Australian heritage. It all kind of ties us together as sister franchises.
So, so hey, thanks for taking the time, Brian. Tell me how you got into your business.
Well, sometimes God opens some doors for you, and you just got to be ready to walk through them. And I was working a corporate sales job. I got headhunted. I was at a company for 10 years, selling construction supplies to commercial contractors, and got headhunted, brought onto a company, offered all these, big hopes and dreams and promises, and they were pretty failed promises. And then after 2.5 years, they cut my commission in half, and it wasn't going to work for me. And honestly, I was kind of tired of working for somebody that was unappreciative. To be honest, they were more. I mean, and I get it, big company. They were looking at a private equity buyout, so they were worried about their EBITDA, which is a meaningful part of the business. But they were putting profits over people, both
Hmm.
customers and employees. Anyway, so I'm sitting at my barber one day, and we're talking, and he's like, "Well, I got this customer. He owns a window company. He's got a guy, but he's not running it well, and I think he'd be a really good fit." I said, "Yeah, sure. Like let's talk." Months went by. I'd sat down. I was planning on opening up my own tool and fastener distributorship, a brick and mortar
Hmm.
building, and during that 3 month process of me building my business plan, I realized, man, I'm now 40 years old. I'm recently married, have two stepsons. Life now at 40 is different than it was at 25 or 30 or even 35. And
Hmm.
it was a very tough realization that what I had been doing for the last 17 years was not going to be my path that I was going to continue. I loved it. I enjoyed it. I was very good at it. At the end of the day, it's people. I enjoyed the people when it comes down to it. I can learn product and everything. But so I was already in that mindset of literally 3 month deep dive into building a business plan. So I was ready to open a business mentally. And so this opportunity came to me where I say, hey, we got this guy running this window company. The partners are kind of silent partners, are kind of hands off. He's just not the right guy. Well, and nothing was said for a while, and all of a sudden I get a phone call that, hey Brian, this is Keith with Wallaby, and we had briefly talked months ago, but now it's kind of now or never. The guy that we were planning on
Hmm.
getting rid of, he actually quit on his own accord. I think he saw the writing on the wall. So I'm like, okay, well let's sit down and talk, and here we are.
Amazing.
It's really I've always been the kind of person who I just figure it out. I don't make excuses. I always take ownership. It doesn't matter what my position is in the company. I take ownership as it's mine, so that I'm just a no excuses kind of person. Hey, look, like, we got to get things done. Roll with the punches. Take what you got at hand and just make the best of it. And I've done that. I've still definitely baby steps of my journey. Got a lot of good people around me helping support me and guide me. But it's been fun and stressful and rewarding all at the same time. But that's part of owning your business. And I saw this. I saw this. Somebody sent me this the other day. It was like, man, why would I work a 9 to 5 when I can own my own business and work all 128 hours a week? It's just so much easier. It's
Yeah.
like,
Why would I limit myself to 9 to 5? How foolish would that be?
I could work all the hours of the week.
I can just work all the hours. Yeah, it's funny. So a lot of things there. First of all, a tale as old as time. The people at corporate get greedy and they're like, "Oh, we can save money by cutting the salespeople's commission."
Yeah.
If that isn't the dumbest thing you could ever do,
But we're
you
going to
know.
reinvest it into the customer and help you grow your business.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. Sure. Thanks for that. Right. And salespeople are so motivated by money. And when I was in sales, as a salesperson, I was making more than my manager. And I'm
Most
like, well,
good
that's
salesmen
right.
are.
Right. And so when I became a manager,
I had to agree with that same philosophy. And I have some of my clients are like, well, but what if they make all this money? I'm like, that would be awesome if they make all this money. That's exactly what you want. You want to have them so rich, like you want to have your salespeople so rich, because that means you're getting everything you want. So I like emphasis on sales. It's like, it's the struggle is real, but I see it all the time. It happens in companies all the time where they're like, oh, we'll change. I've had to pitch these crappy commission restructures to people and figure out how we can make that, have them make more money. Like, how do you work the system to make more money? Right. So let me ask you this. So you start your own business. What is the biggest, like, what's been your biggest struggle?
Time management.
Okay.
Time
Time
management's
management.
hard.
That's a
Yeah,
good one.
yeah, it's a
Tell me
tough
more
one.
about that.
Well, as a owner, operator, salesman, you have to be everywhere all at once, and that's the hardest part. Is trying to be everything for everybody and all the moving pieces of your company. It's taxing. It's stressful. It's not for everyone, but it's a commitment that I know and I knew. And for years and years, I had many of my friends and customers like, hey, why don't you start your own company? And I'm like, well, I don't want all the stress, because as a salesman, my problems and my customer problems are mine. As an owner,
Yes.
everything is your problem, and you have to understand and appreciate that. And in fact, like, I was comfortable where I was, and comfortability and complacency is not always a good thing. you know, I definitely
Yes.
I definitely wake up with motivation, and it's out of a want and a need all at the same time now. It's different as an owner.
100%. So
It's
how do you prioritize, or what's been your biggest step, or us working together? Like, what's kind of your biggest aha with time prioritization? How do you do it?
Man, it was something that you and Trevor said a while back was white shirt Wednesdays.
I love it.
It's just a day to keep your hands clean, work on the business, not in the business, whether it's marketing meetings or customer consults, vendor consults, accounting, whatever I need to do to take care of the business. I'm not going out on consults. I'm not going out and checking on jobs. Like, that's my one day a week to sit in front of the computer and or the phone or go to meetings, and it's a break in the middle of the week from the chaos of running around and running all over town, and especially Houston. Houston's from people who don't understand the Houston metroplex. I tell people Houston is 2 hours from Houston. And so it's like anywhere
It's
I
true.
go, and it's 45 minutes to start your day, and then you have to go somewhere. So it's just anyway. So time management is a really big thing, but having that Wednesday break of, hey, let's focus on the business, kind of reset, gives me a fresh mindset so that I got 2 solid days, Monday, Tuesday, 2 solid days, Thursday, Friday, and sometimes Saturdays. But that's given me, instead of trying to take an hour a day in the morning or in the evening or in the middle of my day to take care of these accounting, marketing, whatever business owner duties, that's set aside for Wednesday. So I have a time block on my calendar. No, I have a call center. They will
Mhm.
not schedule an appointment on Wednesday unless there's an extenuating circumstance, and usually it's later in the afternoon. I've taken care of all my duties and my requirements that day. But that just really blocks out. Hey, Wednesday is your day to really figure out, sit down, have a fresh, clear mind, and think about your business and what did you do last week? What did you do this week? What do you need to do next week? You and I sit down what every other week, and that's kind of, you and I are kind of that fresh start to the morning. All right, did you do
Mhm.
this? You said you were going to do this. Did you do this? Oh, you're right, Warren. I got to do that. Like, I'm going to do that today. So it's nice having somebody over my shoulder hold me accountable for my own words. But that's definitely given me some time back to really focus on the business itself and get it going. And again, doing it with a clear mind because you have the whole day focused and blocked out. So you're not trying to
Yes.
sporadically do it between phone calls and job sites. You're focused and you're doing what needs to be done with a very clear mindset.
I like that. I like the fact that you're talking about focus, because I think that's one of the hardest things as business owners, that you've already stressed this, but you've got 1,000 things you got to do. They're varying levels of important, but there's also a lot of urgent things that are kind of knocking on your door. And if you're you're always looking for the customer and, oh, is the customer happy? But at the same time, you never get an hour or 2 or 3 where you are focused, like turn the email off. I'm going to I know since we just talked, I know you spend an hour working just on your advertising. And that might seem, people like, you spend a whole hour just working and looking numbers on that. Yeah, because I got to know where the leads are coming from and how I have to adjust strategy to get more leads, right? And get the right leads. So I love the focus thing. What do you think from a coaching perspective? Would you say accountability is This is for me now. Would you say accountability is one of the biggest things or benefits of coaching?
Not one of that is the biggest thing. And the way you present it is, first of all, I like your mindset and your viewpoint. Everybody, like, we're very much aligned, but we still see things a little bit differently. So having that person over my shoulder, say, kind of looking at things and really deep diving in the business, but you're not just telling me, hey, you need to do this. Like, hey, we talked last week, 2 weeks ago, you said you were going to do this. Did you take care of it? Yes. Cool. Okay, cool. Or, hey, you need to get on top of it. Like, you said these are your words. I'm not telling you how to run your business. We as a whole, and you said you need to do this. So definitely, I've always got the little warn birdie in the back of my head saying, it comes to the end of the week and I'm like, oh crap, I said I was going to do that and I didn't. I better take care of it. So
That's awesome. I love it. but I think your mindset now around sales, I'd love to have you talk, like, as a business owner, prioritization of sales and revenue generating activities. It has to be a priority. So you got your planning that you're doing on your business, that you're doing White Shirt Wednesdays. Love that. And then the next prioritization is sales. So how do you kind of structure that into your day since you are a salesperson?
Sure.
It's more natural for you.
Well, good thing about like our structure in Mina franchise, so we have a call center. I'm able to set up geo zones so that I'm trying to focus my energy on, and on a map. My call center will only allow me to set consultations in a certain geographic area on certain days of the week. Now, I've set that up based on, like, I know traffic flows, like Mondays and Fridays, I want to be closer to home. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Thursday now, I can be further out. And I kind of have some overlap there, but structuring it to where, again, time is your most valuable asset. I don't want to be running from 2 hours from consult to consult. So making it where, and it's hard because you get somebody on the phone, hey, I need you to come out today. And so you have to break that mindset and you have to understand the importance of your own time and say, hey, the next availability is Thursday. Can that work for you? 9 times out of 10, they'll end up making it work, but you have to kind of put your foot down because otherwise your customers are running your business and you can't. You have to be methodical, especially when you're, running a very tight ship. Like, hey, I'm a very small business. I'm in the growth process, but I had to get really tight. And so that comes down to my time, not just my money, my time. And if I let my customer run my business and every time my phone rings, I go run and you can't do that because you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off and you're not being productive and you're not focusing your energy and your time. You're just putting out fires, versus I would rather have a prescribed burn than, a rampant wildfire that got out of control because I was.
Yes, we're going to do a planned burn,
Yeah.
and we're going to burn the underbrush at the right time, not when the wind's blowing 50
and you
miles
have
an
to,
hour,
and
right?
that's the hardest part. Sometimes it's like, and as a compassionate human, like, hey, I genuinely want to take care of my customer now, but as a business owner, I have to put my foot down for myself, even that, hey, this is my schedule. I need to stick to the schedule. There are some extenuating circumstances, but as a whole, and especially when I talk to a customer, like, well, yeah, I've been thinking about doing my windows for the last year, but I need you to come out today. Like, wait, so this is a year-long project, but I absolutely, because you decided today that you're going to do it, I need to come out there today. And in a very nice way, you kind of have to put your foot down and say, well, I'm sorry, this is my next availability. And sometimes if the customer gives you pushback and they're just so insistent, maybe it's not a good customer. Maybe it's not a good fit for you. And that's another hard thing as a business owner is like, I want every piece of business I can get, but sometimes having that intangible, that read for a customer, like, maybe he's just not a good fit. Maybe, I don't want to be the price guy. That's where so many people in sales, I call it the race to the bottom. All they care about is the number. I'm like, well, at the end of the day, yeah, a number is a factor, but I want to instill my morals and my principles and my goals and my values into my projects and my customers as if it's my own house. And some people just don't appreciate that, right? And hey, what's your bottom dollar? Okay, well, sorry, you're not a good customer for me.
Yes.
That's a hard thing too, as a business owner, to turn away business sometimes. And sometimes you got to kind of trust your gut, and it's a really crappy thing to do as somebody who's literally, we talk like in our marketing meetings, we talk about sales is the engine that drives the business. Marketing is the fuel that feeds the engine. Sales is the engine that drives the business. You can put bad gas in your engine.
Yeah.
And you can have some misfires in your engine. So sometimes trusting your gut and saying maybe this isn't a good fit for me. And it's a very intangible that it's hard to read, it's hard to pick up on, but sales, and in sales is so complex. Like we could have a 4-hour podcast about sales, and by no means, and I'm not the best salesman in the world, but it's just part of my job. I'm
Yeah, and I really firing a customer sometimes before they become a customer is going to save you so much time, save you so much heartache. And those guys are usually they bitch and complain the most. They don't want to pay for anything, and they're high maintenance. So I'm a big fan of that. And yeah, every business owner that's like, but I need all the customers I can get. Yeah, I understand, but that goes back to the other pivotal thing you said, which was time. Because if you're jacking around with some customer that's complaining about everything and you're getting a low margin on it, how much time and energy did you save? And how great do you feel at the end of the day when you spend your time on that instead of maybe going after a different customer,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
So what's your mindset when you go into a home? Because I think sales as a mindset, you talk to people and you say, oh, sales, and most people wrinkle their nose.
Sure.
But sales really isn't sales. It's trying to fulfill a customer need. Talk to me about that.
Well, I mean, and it's different for everybody. My background was B2B, business to business, commercial sales, which it was relationship building. And that's one dynamic that I've had to kind of change with my thought process going into a home, because in-home sales is a totally different ballgame. It is the absolute hardest thing you can do. Now, I got into sales 20 something years ago by door knocking. I was selling roofs. I was chasing storms, knocking on somebody's door, getting a door slammed in your face. I've been told no a lot of times. That's a very much a sink or swim situation. So I'm kind of having to revert back, because 17 years of being in commercial and earning that trust long term. I had customers that spend $40,000-$50,000 a month with me, and they were my customers for 10, 12, 15 years. It's in-home sales is a totally different mindset. When I'm trying to blend a little bit of my long-term trust relationship building with, I not necessarily pushy, but I just have to teach myself to be a little more direct. One of the things that we're doing right now at Wallaby is implementing a sales process, and it's a very structured 10-step process. And it's great for somebody who knows nothing about sales, but it's also good for somebody who not necessarily thinks they know everything about sales, but an experienced salesman, to kind of step back and, hey, let's talk about how we're structuring this call, or this appointment. So I'm having to kind of change my mindset a little bit to be not necessarily more pushy, but more direct. All right, you got basically an hour or two to earn this customer's trust in their business. Whereas, I had some customers that I called on for 6 months to a year before they started buying from me. And then from then on, I built that trust over the long term. So it's a mindset shift that I'm having to make. And now, hopefully, as I'm in the process of growing, I'm looking at bringing on some salesmen. It'll be easier to have a dedicated salesman. I'm still going to go on sales calls, obviously, myself. But that's really been the hardest thing for me, is kind of shifting my mindset to that one call close, but not be a pushy used car salesman, as I like to call them.
Yes.
I've always kind of considered myself very malleable. I kind of adapt to the situation. You can have a structure, and you can still hit all your 10 points or whatever it is, but you need to be able to flow with the customer and lead the conversation, but at the same time, like, make it very natural. That's one of the hardest things about sales, is making a specific process feel as natural as possible. And not everybody can do it. You can read from a script,
Yes.
but do you have a good read for people? A lot of people,
Yes.
they can't read people. They just want to talk.
So I like that script. I like that you mentioned that, because the scripting, I talk to a lot of people about scripting, and everybody's like, well, I don't want to script. No, I understand, but you need to have a process and a formula to get you got to figure out what you're asking them for. First of all, are you asking them for a buy? Are you asking them for a follow-up appointment? Whatever that is. And then you've got to also, as you said, read the customer and figure out what they're, how do they communicate? And then what are their needs? If it's most important to them to have energy efficiency or quiet, or they just want a cheap window, those are different needs,
Sure.
right?
And that's about like building that rapport and asking questions. Like, you got to ask questions. You got to go in there and be aware of your surroundings and being looking and try to you're going to pull information out of them in ways that you don't even know, just by asking questions about their surroundings or pictures on their wall. Or you're going to come up with conversations, and everybody's going to have different things that they're going to perk up to. All of a sudden, they start talking about their kids, and they just really light up about their kids or whatever. So, and doing that in a very natural way. There's some people that are, they take that and they run with that. I call them the used car salesman, right? Somebody,
Yes.
if you're genuine and you show you're genuinely interested in the customer and their life and what their wants and their needs are, that's the connection, right? And that's the goal, is to make them feel as comfortable with you as a person and a company, and you're not just some number on a piece of paper.
It's building know, like, and trust. Okay, so I want to ask this question because as I want to ask this about your company, and it's something that you mentioned to me that I learned, and I never really thought about it before. And I've installed windows myself, but talk to me about how important the install of a window is in the whole process.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that I use every customer. I'm like, look, half of the price of the window is the install. If I don't know how to install it, if I don't know how to take out your existing window without damaging sheetrock or brick or siding and put this new window in and make it look like it was built that way, then I'm just a cheap guy, right? Like, which anybody can make a window fit in a hole, but doing it in a process, in a manner where it looks like it was built that way, that's my goal. And that's one of the things I tell people is like, my goal is for you not to have to worry about anything. You don't touch anything. When I leave, that window looks like it was built that way. It came with the house. And understanding in my background with extensive construction background, that helps. Having crews that are knowledgeable and been in the industry. If you know how to get everything out and get that window back in without making it look like you were there, and not that the process is very ugly and dirty. And that's another thing you have to explain to people. Like, this is construction. Like, it's going to be messy. It's going to be loud. Like, wait till the finished product, please. Like, you're going to come and try to nitpick the process. Like, let me get finished with this window installation. And I promise you, my goal is to make it look like it was built that way. And if you have to fix anything or repair anything, I didn't do my job. And that's my goal as the owner, with my name on this installation, my name on this window, my name on your house. I'm going to hold myself and my crews to that standard.
It's so important. And I think the other thing you said that I love is that you can take a really high quality window and have a crappy install, and you end up with a crappy product.
Yeah. The best quality window, door, doesn't matter, whatever the product is, right? If the best quality product installed improperly is just a bad product, it's a crappy product at the end of the day, and if I'm part of that race to the bottom and trying to be the cheap guy, I've got to cut corners somewhere, and most of the time that's going to be on the install, using inferior product. Even the sealant we use, like I use a product called OSI Quad Max. My installers are OSI certified, so just the caulking, the sealant around the window has a 15-year warranty. That if you think my window's leaking, OSI is going to send a guy out here and do a pressure test with water and see if there is genuinely a leak. Is it the window? Is it the sealant? Is it your siding? Is it your brick? Just little things like that. That stuff costs $10 or $11 a tube.
Wow.
I'm using 40, 50, 60 tubes on a job versus the $3 or $4 tube of caulk on a job. Like, little things like that go into a quality install. And I use the same installation process and the same products on every install, doesn't matter what the window manufacturer is. So it's like that the install isn't consistent, right? And so they're like, well,
That's
why?
awesome.
This window is half the price of this window at Lowe's, but they're only a 25% difference, in installation. Well, because half the price was the install. I'm still giving you the same quality install. If it's a cheaper window or a more expensive window, it's still the same install. I don't lessen the quality of my install because it's a lesser quality window.
That's awesome. No, that's really good. I wanted to get anybody that's listening to this is going to buy a window. It's kind of important, guys. So, well, you got Brian Hybner. So if you're in Houston, you're just going to use him. So that's easy. Okay. Thank you, Brian. This has been awesome. I have 3 really, really important questions I'm going to ask you now, and then we're done. Okay. Are you ready?
No pressure.
If you were an animal, what kind of animal would you be?
Oh, well, you can't. That's kind of pointed. It can't be a wallaby. That's just weird. If I was an animal.
You're not going wallaby. Okay, that's too easy.
You put me on the spot. It's like saying, "Hey, don't think about that red pencil over there." So what are you going to do about that red pencil? So, if I was an animal, that's a good question. I've always considered myself a chameleon. I like reptiles. They're a little weird. They're adaptable. They're very, what's the word? Can't think of the word, but anyways, I'd probably say I'm a chameleon in a good way. I'm very adaptable. I can blend into situations. I'm very resilient. That's the word I was looking for. To temperature changes and
camouflage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I like that a lot. And
Put me on the spot with that one. I wasn't so.
It's a full circle with sales, right? Like if you can be a chameleon, you can okay. And by the way, what's in your aquarium there?
That one over there is a blue-eyed leucistic ball python, and I got a saltwater aquarium around the corner that I'm working on setting up right now.
Oh my goodness! Oh, that's so cool.
I'm a little eclectic. I've had a little bit from scorpions to tarantulas to lizards to snakes to fish, and of course we got the dogs and the cats, and the random cat that likes to show up on a job site with you. Well, that's for another story.
That's right. You had the stowaway cat that was in your. Tell us that really quick. That's really awesome.
Oh gosh. So, short version. Backed up to my shop on a Saturday, loaded up some stuff in the bed of my truck, closed the bed cover. Monday morning, I drive 2 hours across town from my house out to Katy, and I get out of the truck and I hear this cat meowing. I look at my crews; they have a ladder stuck up in a tree. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. They're helping the neighbors with the cat or something. Then I walk by my truck, and all of a sudden the sound's coming from behind me. I'm like, oh no. I'm in a cul-de-sac. The only thing behind me is my truck. I'm like, and instantly I'm like, yep, my cat's in the back of my truck, and I'm 2 hours away from home, and I have a 12-hour day schedule. Like, yep, my day just went to crap. So I opened the bed cover, snatched my cat. So I'm expecting her to like shoot off in the neighborhood. I'm never going to see her again. So I like grab her by the back of the neck. So she like freezes up. I get her all calmed down, and then next thing you know, for the next 4 hours, she's just riding with me in my truck, hanging out for the day. I'm like, oh. I wouldn't ask my homeowner. I'm like, hey, a weird question, but do you have a kennel I could borrow? My cat rode with me to work today, and I'm not sure what's going to happen. Do you happen to have a kennel I could borrow and put in my cab? And she ended up just hanging out in the back seat of my truck on some moving blankets I had set there. And then at one point during the ride, she just gets up and curled up in my lap. And so I'm just driving around with my cat half the day. And I'm like, what are you gonna do about it? So I made a video, and Warren and a couple of people like, you should post that on your business page. And I'm like, really? I'm like, screw it. It was just a stupid, funny, even my franchising director, he made a little meme and posted the unexpected cat adventure you never asked for.
That's awesome. I love it. That's part of business owning though. Like we have to be flexible because I never know. I don't know where I'm going to be in any given day or how it's going to turn out. That's part of the adventure. Okay. Next question. What do you want to be remembered for?
Just being a man of my word. That's one thing that's like, it's the hardest thing to do is to speak what you mean and mean what you speak. And then it's the action behind it. I said I was going to do this. I am going to do everything in my powers to do exactly what I said I was going to do. Because so many people talk without intention. I've always, and as kids, as a young male adult, like I did a lot of stupid stuff. I was a jerk at some points, like, hey, we're kids, we grow up, we learn. And then looking back, I'm like, man, if I say something, I better mean it, and I better do what I say I'm going to do.
Amen. Yeah, 100%. I love that. And then last question, what do you want to be when you grow up?
I don't want to grow up. I just want to be a kid forever.
And
That's
I'm
an
so
easy
with you
one.
on that.
I don't want to grow up, but we could still be responsible. And people that know me around me, like, and a lot of people can't separate this, but I'm still a big kid at heart. I like to, cut up and relax and have fun and enjoy myself. But there's also business to be done, and that's some people can't separate that, personal from business. When it comes to business, I got things to take care of. Like I people will tell you I'm the nicest person you've ever met, and people will tell you I'm the biggest jerk that they've ever met, and believe both of them because it depends on the situation. Uh, I am nice to a point, and when it comes to business and money and time, like I've got
Yeah.
stuff that needs to be done, and I have my cutoff points. But yeah, just being when you grow up, I don't want to grow up. You can be responsible, but still be a kid at heart, so to speak. So.
Well, I believe you there. I don't know. It hasn't taken for me yet either. So if I haven't grown up by now, it's just not going to happen. Just give up on that deal. Awesome. Hey, thank you, Brian. This was an absolute pleasure, a lot of fun, and I just wish you're doing great business with your business, and you're doing it the right way, building a great business. So I can't wait to see what you do in the future.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate all your guidance, and your word is valuable to me as well. I will say that I do. I said that little warn birdie in the back of my head sometimes, like. And sometimes we need that, especially as a owner operator, not having a big team around me, having somebody holding me accountable, it means volumes, and somebody who I respect and appreciate your viewpoint and your the way you see things, and sometimes your thought process, like, oh, I didn't think about that. I try not to pat you on the back too much, but you have some pretty good ideas.
Thank you, Brian.
I don't want to let your head get any bigger than it already is, but
no, don't stop, please. No, I would. I guess here's the thing. I'm blessed to have really great clients and people of integrity, and so I'm thankful. This is a fun. I have to run my own business as well, and it's hard, and I have the same stresses that you all have. But I'm blessed to have great clients, and seeing them succeed is it gives me chills. Like it gets me excited.
I appreciate you.
This was great. Cheers, and cheers to the future, Brian.
Yeah, appreciate you. We'll see you soon.
Great conversation with Brian. Here's the thing that I think you all heard. Being a business owner is hard because it's prioritization of the right things and trying to figure out what to do and what to do first and what to focus your time on. Of course, that's revenue generating activities, but that's also stopping every week and spending some time working on the business. And if you don't calendar that time, it's just never going to happen. That's where the accountability from coaching really comes in. So sure fun to see people grow their business. And Brian's one of those guys.
Liked what you heard? Let's make it real. Schedule your free coaching session today at sugarland.actioncoach.com.